Hello everyone and welcome to a new video on our channel English Bridge. In today's video we're going to talk about how and the variation of this question. Stay with us. Hi again. So before we start, don't forget to go to the description box and check your answers for the last test I left you about work. Okay, let's get started. The first one is how. We use how to ask about like manner of something, how we do something. For example, how do you feel today? How do you feel today? The answer could be, for example, I feel good, I feel very well, etc. Or you can say, for example, how do you get to work? How do you get to work every day? The answer is, I get to work by bus. Or you can say, I get to work by taxi, etc. The next point is how plus adjectives. How plus adjectives. We use this when we are asking about the quantity of the adjective we are asking about. For example, like fast, big, far, etc. For example, how big is your house? How big? Big is an adjective. How big is your house? It's about 100 meters square. Or we can say, for example, how far is it from your house to your school? How far is it from your house to your school? It's about 100 meters, for example. Or we can say, for example, how fast are you? How fast are you? The answer could be, I'm not very fast. Okay? The next point is the same as this point. We use how with adverbs in the same way that we use it with adjectives. Adverbs, for example, like quickly, fast, etc. Example, how quickly do you learn things? How quickly do you learn things? For example, I learn them quickly, or you can say, I don't really learn quickly. Another example is, how fast do you drive your car? How fast do you drive your car? The answer could be, I drive about 100 kilometers per hour. Okay, so now let's go to the next point. The third point that we use with how is this phrase, how long does it take? How long does it take? After this phrase, we use infinitive verb with to. Infinitive with to. We use this question to ask about the time that we need to do something. The time that we need to do something. For example, how long does it take you to learn English? How long does it take to learn English? For example, it takes about 2 years, or it takes about a year. Another question, for example, how long does it take you to get to work? How long does it take you to get to work? It means like, how much time do you need to get to work? The answer could be, for example, it takes me about an hour every day. It takes me about an hour every day. Of course, we can use how long alone without does it take when we want to ask about the time that we need to do something. For example, how long have you lived in Turkey? How long have you lived in Turkey? The answer is, I've lived in Turkey for 5 years. Another example is, how long did you sleep yesterday? How long did you sleep yesterday? The answer is, I slept about 5 hours, and so on. So now let's move to the next point. Point number 4 is how with many. We use how many. We use this one to ask about like countable plural nouns. Countable plural nouns. For example, like apples, cups, etc. Now in this point you should be careful about one point, which is after how many we use a noun in its plural form with s, or if the noun is irregular, you use the plural one. For example, how many children have you got? How many children have you got? The answer is, I've got 3 children. Or you can say, for example, how many cups of water do you drink every day? How many cups of water or how many cups of coffee do you drink every day? The answer could be, I drink about 5 cups of coffee or 4 cups of coffee. Now let's move to the next point, which is how much. How much. We use how much with uncountable nouns. Noun that we cannot count, we cannot say number before. For example, milk, water, money, etc. Example, how much water should we drink every day? How much water should we drink every day? The answer is, we should drink about 2 or 3 liters every day. Another question is, how much money did you spend last month? How much money did you spend last month? The answer could be, I spent about $200. I spent about $200, and so on. So now let's go to the next point. Before we move to the last point, let's talk about this, which is how often. How often. We use how often when we ask about the frequency of the action we are doing. For example, how often do you go to the gym? How often do you go to the gym? I go to the gym twice a week or 3 times a week. Another example could be, How often do you drink coffee? How often do you drink coffee? The answer could be, I drink coffee like once a day, or I drink coffee every morning, etc. The next point is how with old. Of course, this point is the same as point number 2 because old is an adjective, but I put it alone because we use how old a lot in English. So we use this question, of course, to ask about the age of something or someone. For example, how old is your house? How old is your house? The answer, it's about 100 years old, or it's about 50 years old. Another question, for example, how old were you when you got married? How old were you when you got married? The answer is, I got married when I was 28 years old, and so on. So now let's move to the last point. The last point is how with come. This question is informal question, and we use it when we are surprised about something, or when we want to say why in a surprised way. So we can say, for example, how come you didn't pass the exam? How come you didn't pass the exam? The answer is, I really don't know. I did very well in the exam. Okay. Another example is, how come you got here quickly? How come you got here quickly? The answer, for example, I took a taxi, and so on. And with this point, we come to the end of the lesson today. We learned everything about how and how to use it and the different words we use it with how. Of course, as usual, I will leave you a test in the description. Check it and try to answer to make sure you understand everything right. And if you like the video, like, share and subscribe to get everything new. See you in the next lesson.